Could you just write down in the chat room? What do you think happens suddenly? Typically, when you are driving on a nice road and there's no traffic, what do you think transpires? It rains suddenly, KK Lim says. Okay, Jeffrey says, holy cow. Gurmit says, no petrol. Wow, that can be quite a scary experience. Ivana says, suddenly she notices the sunset. And while an animal runs in front of you, that sounds like a typical Tamil movie scene. Dead animal, yeah, roadkill. You look forward to reach your destination. Well, okay, very interesting answers. I see many of the answers here are pretty dramatic. But I'm going to show you the picture here, my dear friends. And actually what you actually suddenly see is, you suddenly get caught in a horrendous traffic jam. And you know, in Malaysia, we are no aliens to traffic jam. We see that happen very regularly. Now, I'm going to give you several situations here, okay? You hit a major traffic jam, the traffic doesn't seem to end. What do you plan to do next? Now, I want you to think about how do you normally react to this situation. I'm going to give you several options. Option A, remain in that route. Option B, find a way to go back where you started. Option C, find an alternative route. Option D, stop by the side, call wife and complain about the situation, or wife calling the husband and complaining about the situation, or if your wife is sitting next to you, just stop the car and start complaining to your wife. And E, and be honest with yourself, my dear friends, drive on the emergency lane to beat the traffic. So these are the options that I'm showing you here. KK has already answered. He will choose D. What are the options? A lot of people have chosen C. We have one outlier here with a D. We have Annie Yap, all the way from Philippines. She has chosen remain in the route. Okay, Gurmit, good. I'm happy that you're honest, but luckily there's no traffic police here today. In reflection, E, okay, thank you, Dian, for being very honest. Dimala, very good citizen of the country. A. June chooses an E. So as you can see, the most popular option here is an E. I like Jesse's answer. Check ways for alternative routes. Tachani says, option F, tune into my own music and sing out loud. Can't do much about the traffic. Well, Tachani, let me tell you, that means it's an A. It's an A. Remain in that route. Just listen to music. All right, cool. So, my dear friends, you have chosen your option. Now, do you think your answer, whatever it is it a right answer? Is it a wrong answer? What do you think? Let's take a look at the answers. So here you go, my dear friends. The traffic doesn't seem to end. And what do you plan to do next? We have A, you remain in the route. Guess what happens? The traffic clears after 30 minutes and the route is all clear. Give yourselves a round of applause for those of you who chosen A. Congratulations. B, find a way to go back where you started. Well, guess what? Because you returned home, you would have avoided a 12-hour snarl. C, for those of you who chose C, which was a common one, find an alternative route. The alternative route is longer, though without traffic. And guess what? At the end of the day, you reach the same time. Okay, let's take a look at D. Stop by the side and call wife and complain the situation. Well, the good news here is you felt relief after talking to someone. And something tells me that your wife and your husband is a very good listener. And E, drive an emergency lane to beat the traffic, get caught by the police on the other end and got an RM 300 summon. So, Gurmit, you might want to rethink your strategy. But my dear friends, this is the challenge, right? This is the challenge. We tend to take a look at everything based on whether it's right or wrong. But in reality, my dear friends, though many of you chose the C answer and you thought that that was the right answer, in life, in my opinion, when it's not a matter of principle, there is no right and wrong answers in life. Number two, I've come to learn that there are no shortcuts in life too. So the emergency lane, while looking very attractive and tempting, it may not yield the best outcome at the end of the day. Some of my friends in this room are aware of the fact that I visit the prison on a monthly basis before the MCO to try to change the mind of prisoners about crime. And I realized many of them took the E option. They wanted a shorter cut in life. But just like the person who mentioned just now about the GPS, we always try to seek a shortcut. But again, does the shortcut actually yield us the outcome or the results that we're looking for in our lives? And so this is where we are talking about the options that we take. One option that you take might bring you closer, it might take you off course, or even return you where you started, or even keep you at the junction. Whatever it is, I believe, like I said earlier, there's no such thing as a right or wrong answer in life. So what are we going to achieve in this journey of our destination, my dear friends? What is it that we're going to achieve by the end of this session? Number one, and I want you to take a pen and a paper and write down some of the things I'm going to share with you today, because I promise you, my dear friends, I promise you, your life is going to change by the end of this session. Number one, elevate your thinking and actions and allow you to move towards your destination. I'm going to talk about ways on how you could elevate your thinking and actions in very specific tools that I'm going to reveal in this session. Number two, I'm going to introduce two very important terms that I think we cannot afford to forget after this session, and that is to rewrite our models of reality and systems of living that charts a path to our destination. So two very important words I want you to take note of. You might want to write it down as well. Models of reality and systems of living. And number three, my dear friends, finally, is to establish end goals in life that help you reach your destination. Now, the key word here is not goals, my dear friend. Think about it very carefully. The key here is end goals. Now, what is the other option of goals? We're going to talk about that in a short while. So these are the three very important goals that I'd like to achieve by the end of this session. So we are going to begin in our first module, and that is by transcending the norms. That's going to be our first module. So let's do a fun general knowledge activity, and I want to see how many of you here are actually avid readers. Avid readers. Do you enjoy reading? So this is my challenge to you today, since Christopher has reminded us that we are going to have a quiz later, correct, Christopher? We're going to have a quiz later, right? So I think we need to get our audience all ready for the quiz. So I'm going to begin with a teaser, okay, with a teaser. This is not the real quiz, but this is a teaser. And let's see who is the first person who can answer this correctly. The words of wisdom is, life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact. Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. That were no smarter than you. And you can change it, you can influence it, and once you learn that, you'll never be the same. Okay, so my dear friends, who do you think said this? Could you just type out the name of the person? Don't worry if you get the answer wrong, not a problem at all. Just take a wild guess, or those of you who know it, who do you think it is? Just type out the answer once you think you're ready. Michael Xavier, oh my God. I think Will, you've been attending too much of my Toastmasters. Well, I wish I could say that, but actually it's not. It's one of these three people. It's one of these three people. And yes, congratulations, Ivana and Gurmeet Singh. You've got it right. And the answer is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, that's right. No, there's a lot of quotes that Steve Jobs has said before he died in 2011, but this is one of those meaningful ones related to this topic of destination. All right. But if you really take a look at this quote very carefully, what would be the words that actually pop out to you personally for you? Keep your hands on the chat room all the time, yeah, because I'm going to engage you throughout this time. So what is the words that pop out at you when you read this quote? You just write that down. You can just write a word or maybe one or two words next to it, so I know which one you're referring to. Which one do you think it is? The one that really strikes you in a special way. Okay, Anuja says you can change it. Thank you, Anuja. Oh, Vimala too agrees you can change it. No wonder Anuja and Vimala are good friends. Even Gurmit says change it. No smarter than you, no smarter than you. All of your answers are very, very correct. Post one says, nice to see you, Post one. People that were not smarter than you, you can influence it. Good one. Shuri, all the way from Zebra, you can change it. Annie, you can influence it. A lot of you have chosen the second half of the quote over here. And you are not wrong, my dear friends. And I'm happy that you found something that really appealed to you, especially under these current circumstances that we are in. Okay, so let's take a look at what is it that I was actually looking for, and that is this. It's the word broader. It's the word broader. Take a look at this word broader, my dear friends. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact. Now, he's talking about expanding the options in our lives, being able to see more than what we think that we are seeing. Now, this is something very important. Before we can even think of the ideas that we come up with or the changes and the influence that we would have on others and our circumstances, before we can even do that, we must really take a look at the vision that we are having in our lives at this point in time. So this is a very important fact. We have to broaden our life. That's the key word. So I'm going to reveal to you, my dear friends, this is super critical stuff. Okay, so I hope you have your pen and paper with you, or you have your iPad with you, and taking down some important stuff here. This is critical stuff. Okay, I'm going to reveal to you the 4 levels of consciousness. You know, I listened to this part of the sharing when I was actually walking in my exercise. When he mentioned about his 4 levels of consciousness, I suddenly saw everything clearer in front of me. So I'm going to reveal that to you right now. So my dear friends, we are going to move into a point in our session here today where, while you're listening to me, I'm not here to entertain you, by the way. Yeah? This is going to be your moment. This is going to be a moment where you're going to assess. You're going to assess your life. I'm going to reveal to you several levels over here. The first level here is known as level 1, which is living in what Vision calls living in the culture scape. This is where we have bought into a relative truth level that forces us to believe that things are the way they are for a reason. Now, these beliefs are not necessarily a result of our rational thought or research, but instead a result of what is known as a social contagion. Because our parents told us that's how it is. For example, in those days you would have heard statements like, women are meant to be in the, can you finish the sentence? Women are meant to be in the, please write down the answer, my dear friends. So let's see whether you come from the same culture scape. Wow, Zahira, Ivana, Jessie, KK, Tachani, SH Lip, Anuja. Yeah, women are meant to be in the kitchen while men are meant to go to work. Well, you know what's the reality today? Today, women are still meant to be in the kitchen and go to work, while men just go to work. My wife is here, so I know what I'm saying. That sometimes we tend to bind to certain culture scapes, and we believe that we are the victim of the circumstances and we have no control of what happens to you. And later on, as we go deeper, I'm going to share with you several other belief systems that we have subscribed to that may be governing our way of life. They may be governing the destination that we take in our lives. The second level is known as the awakening. What is the awakening? Now, these are the typical stories of your grandfather. who maybe was a well-known surgeon or a lawyer. And do you recall the time when he sat down one evening and shared with you how he fought that case in court, or how he operated on the patient that looked dead and suddenly the patient came out alive? And that story just got stuck in your system, in your brain, in your mind, in your emotions, in every part of your body. And then you told yourself that when I grow up, I'm going to be that surgeon. When I grow up, I'm going to be that lawyer. If you have been in that situation before, my dear friends, can you please type in a yes in the chat room, where you got inspired by the stories of your grandparents, your father, your mother, and you told yourself, I'm going to be like that person. Well, that is what is known as the awakening, where you believe that you can choose which experience you internalize. This story of my grandfather, I'm going to internalize. I love this story, so this is what I want to do when I grow up. And then later you realize 3 generations down, you have lawyers in your family, and you wonder how that happened. But what if I told you, my dear friends, that that is not the complete picture of the consciousness that we are in? We are, remember, Steve Jobs has told we're going to broaden that life journey that we are in. And that brings us to the 3rd level, and that is what vision calls as recoding yourself. Recoding yourself. This is where we make a decision to alter our internal belief system. We alter our body. We alter our thoughts and psychology. We push ourselves to be the best that we can be in the areas that we desire to be in. So this is, my dear friends, is very much got to do with, this is what I want to be. In order to achieve this, have I fully worked all the capacitors in my system to move me towards that direction? You know, this also includes unfollowing certain people on Facebook. You will realize that you will need to unfollow some of the ideas that people push onto you, because you believe that that is not bringing you closer to the destination of your life. It's not broadening your life concept. And my dear friends, when you have fully mastered the full capacity in you, now, my dear friends, now you're ready to become the extraordinary person who is able to come up with repeatable, expandable, and improvised action. For what purpose, my dear friends? For what purpose? For the purpose of changing the world in which you have been put into. So this is a very important message, my dear friends. Are we actually moving up towards a direction that positions us to make a change in the world that we live in? But before we can actually change the world, we need to do the first 2 levels, that is level 2 and level 3. We need to be intentional, and then we need to look at what is it that we want in our lives and fully maximize our capacities, and then only we can change the world. So Bill Gates said once that if you are born poor, it's not your mistake, but if you die poor, it's your mistake. So the greatest gift that you can give the world is to be not poor economically, not poor spiritually, not poor emotionally yourself first, before you can bring the change that you want to see in the world today. So my dear friends, I want you to take a moment to take a look at this 4 levels of consciousness for a moment, and ask yourself, which level do you think you are at the moment? You don't have to answer me in the chat room, but just write it down somewhere. Which level do you think that you are in at the moment? I just want you to know that according to vision, whatever level you choose, we often overestimate our levels. So always -1 on whatever level that you're in at the moment, unless you're in level 1. Okay? So this is a very important message. Huh? Which level are you in at the moment? So there you go, my dear friends. This is to heighten what Steve Jobs has told us just now about the fact that we need to broaden our lives. And this is what I mean by broadening our lives, is by moving away from our culture scape. And we will be talking a little bit more of that in a short while. So I'm going to now move into module 2, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our models of reality. Now let's do a quick activity, shall we? So if you take a look at this word over here, and I've got what do you call? Oh, I think I gave you the answer. So let me just, sorry, my mistake. There's supposed to be an animation there. Let me introduce this term to you, which is known as bruise. Okay, bruise. You can repeat it even with your family members at home. Just say bruise. Well, bruise simply means, pardon my language, but this is the word that we should use in this book. Rules are bullshit rules that people create to get you to conform to societal norms. And I'm going to reveal to you some of the rules that we have bought into. And I'm not here to judge whether it's right or wrong, good or bad. Remember, we talked about that earlier. To me, these are rules. Let's take a look at number one. Suffer now, enjoy later. Have you heard of that before? Suffer now, enjoy later. Let's take a look at the second one. Religion is inherited, not discovered. Think about this very carefully, my dear friends. Did you get a chance to choose your religion? Did you get a chance to choose your religion? Many of us didn't. Johansson has asked, fake it till you make it. Would that be considered a rule? Definitely, Johansson. Anything that goes against principles of authenticity and integrity is a rule. And you know what, Johansson, I've got an example later for you. You can't be successful without a degree. This is something very common. But you and I know that some of the billionaires in this world do not have a degree. When you get bad results, you get sent to the last class. Have you been in that situation before? The color of your skin determines the level of government support. Malaysia is not new to this, but that is the rules that we live in. The color of your skin determines the level of government support that you get. Number 6, if you don't speak Chinese, you will not get a job. Now, I know I'm bringing up some really sensitive stuff, but I just want you to understand that there are some bullshit rules that we have allowed ourselves to embed that causes us to alter our mindset whenever we face a situation like this. I'm an engineer today because my father told me to. Men are better leaders. Women, do you agree with me on this? Yes or no? Wow, yo. So dramatic answers coming here. Okay, well, guess what? There's also another rule. Women are better leaders. Women, do you agree with me on this? Women are better. Well, Elizabeth, no for both. Huh? Okay. Now, actually, these kind of statements are what we consider as rules. Having many children is going to make you poor. Well, this one I've heard many times, you know. Cost of living is very high. Therefore, I cannot afford it. Okay, I think you may not be able to see this. Let me just move it down a little bit. I'm so unlucky. This accident has caused me to lose all hope in life. That's number 11. I'm so unlucky. This accident has caused me to lose all hope in life. So, my dear friends, let me just ask you this question. Have you experienced an accident or a life-altering circumstance that kind of made you lose hope in life? I'd like to explore number 11 a little bit more. Some of us go through some of the most painful situations in our lives, and that can have a lasting impact on us and even on others. This is where I want to share with you a story of the wonderful opportunity that I got to work with this lady by the name of Eileen Chua, who was a member of our club, and very quickly she ascended to the role of the president of the Bayan Baru Toastmasters Club in Penang. I recall that she would probably fall as one of our best presidents that we've had. She's soft-spoken, she's kind, and demonstrated great leadership. And I used to turn to her for advice, even when I was in Toastmasters and even in life. I always called her and asked her to give me some kind of suggestions and options. And she would always I'll be glad to help. She's like the older sister that I never had. Several years later, my dear friends, while she was at home one night, in this fateful night, she needed to take something from the kitchen. She went into the kitchen, hit the lights, and suddenly an explosion happened. My dear friends, I would like to take this moment to introduce to you my very good friend, my sister, Elaine Chua, to share her story with you this evening. Over to you, Elaine.
Hi, my name is Eileen. I was invited by Michael to share my story. On the 15th of April 2016, I was in a gas explosion whereby it caused 80% burn on my body. I suffered from 2nd to 3rd degree burns, and I was in a coma for 2.5 months and in the ICU for 4 months. At that point of time, it was a very difficult time for everyone, including my family member. The doctors didn't know whether I would live or die. And one of my friends actually consulted 5 different experts, and they informed him that my chances of survival was only 5%. So when I came out from the coma, I couldn't move my body. My whole body was bandaged from head to toe. I suffered from muscle atrophy as I was bedridden for a long time. If you to see a movie whereby a person walks out from the hospital after coming out from coma, I can tell you in reality that never happened. I had to relearn how to use my body, how to move my hands. I couldn't even put or bring my hands up to my chin. And the most difficult time for me was when I could not move from the bed. Everything had to be done by someone else, either the nurses or the family member. I remember the first time when I had to stand. That was 6 months after the explosion. I had to have the help of 3 occupational therapists, and they tried to help me to stand. The leg was so painful that I was worried blood will rush out from the bandage. My legs turned purplish black. That was a very painful time for me. Burns on skin is very, very difficult to heal, especially when it is a high percentage of burns. And during the bandage change, that is the most difficult time too, as it will be very, very painful. And I've seen people from the Navy, police, army who admitted at the burn ward too. And after speaking to them, they said that this is the most painful thing they have ever faced in their life. So after 1 year, 3 months and 20 days, I was finally discharged. Today, I would like to share with all of you 3 important lessons that I learned while I was at the hospital. First lesson, gratefulness is important. In fact, gratefulness is so important that during your darkest time, you need to find something to be grateful for. I was grateful to be alive, because if you to see my house at that point of time, as you can see from the photo here, everything was in shambles. The kitchen's at the back of the house, and the blast was so great that it hit the gate in front, and the gate just fell off. And it even went across the road and hit the opposite neighbor's window. I'm grateful to be alive and to be here today. During that time, I was very grateful for my family members because they were there to visit me every day at the hospital. I could see some of the other burn survivors. Some of them were not even visited by any relative until the last day of their discharge. I have also known some burn patients whose face has been disfigured beyond recognition by fire. I also know of a girl who was burned during childhood, and as a result of the burn, she had 30 surgeries. Even after the 30 surgeries, now at the late age of 20-something, she still has to go more surgeries just to be normal. The second lesson that I've learned is I have to accept what had happened to me. I have to accept that I'm no longer the same person physically and mentally, that circumstances have changed. I know of burn survivors who are unable to let go of the past. And when they couldn't let go of that past, they keep on comparing themselves. They compare their past and the present time. And they keep isolating themselves because they feel that people do not accept them. However, what they fail to realize is that they themselves are not able to accept them as what they are and what circumstances has brought upon them. Similarly now, during this pandemic, if you have held a high-ranking job before, or if you are in a financial difficulty because of this pandemic, you need to face the reality that this is what is happening right now. If you are not able to do so, you will keep blaming external circumstances like the government, this pandemic, your boss. You need to be grateful for what you still have left. Maybe it's your family, or that you are not forced to resign.
Don't blame your boss, don't blame the work.
Sometimes the life of a person revolves around work. And when that is gone, he or she doesn't find any meaning in life anymore. Remember that you are not your job. Your title, your money does not define who you are. What you are is really what is inside your character, your life experience. As long as you still have your health and your mind, you can still do something about it. The third lesson that I wish to share is about change. At the hospital, I was afraid of change, as every change that happened causes more pain to me. In fact, when they wanted to transfer me out of the ICU, I was afraid and worried that my condition would get worse. My sister had to reassure me that everything will be good, everything will be better. At that point of time, I didn't know that more than half of the people who are staying in the ICU will not make it out alive. I know that many people are feeling the pain during this pandemic, as change is not something comfortable that you can live with. However, we need to realize that change is inevitable and that we change every day, even though we may not see it. It is best to concentrate on the present and to do things step by step. Concentrate the task at hand. When I was hospitalized, I had to concentrate on one day at a time, because to think of the future is of no use when I could not move at all. Sometimes we need something bad to happen to us to see our true nature, to see our true character. That is when you will really know who you really are, how you react or you respond to the situation. good or bad, we need to reflect on our strength and our weaknesses. For this will be the lessons that we learn in life. In this life, we still have choices. You can still decide what you want to do. Do you want to be more negative or do you want to be more positive? Do you want to take responsibility or do you want to blame others? The choice is in your hands. Back to you, Michael.
So, my dear friends, can we give a round of applause for Yin Chua? I was told by Yin Chua that this is the first time that she's actually been asked to come and verbally share her story. And thank you, Eileen, for such a wonderful experience, your story that you've shared and explained it in such a wonderful way. As painful as it is, I'm sure as you're telling the story, you're also reliving the moment. My dear friends, let's take a look at what we talked about, the four consciousness, level of consciousness. Eileen is actually now, according to what she has just demonstrated to us, in level 3. She's in level 3, where she has actually remodeled her life from the experience that she's had. So let's take a look at the 3 very important messages that Eileen has given us today, my dear friends. Please take this down. Number 1 is be grateful for what you have at the moment. I'm sure you've heard this like a million times at home, in your places of worship, in a book that you've read, but this is a real life story of a person who's gone through that in her life, and she still tells you, be grateful for what I have, even though I'm in this situation, many others have less than I do. Number 2 is to accept our reality that life may not be the same anymore, and that we just have to accept it and move on and still make a difference. And the 3rd is that to accept change, but take it one step at a time. And she emphasized the fact that we need to be mindful and to remain in the present, and to change as we move along. So I hope that this story by Yin Chua has kind of inspired you to really move up the consciousness level and to see how you can be the best that you can be. So let's take a look at some common situations that we face at the workplace. And I'm sure some of you may be in that situation because we are from the Work From Home Protect series. And in the last 13 programs, many of our trainers have shared ways on how we can protect our colleagues, protect our customers, protect our professional branding. But many of us may not be taking a proactive action. The first 3 letters, the word protect. So let's take a look at these circumstances. Your boss always threatens you that you may lose your job. What is your negative reaction? My boss is a rotten. Okay, you fill up the blanks, yeah? What would be the positive response, my dear friends? Can somebody type out an answer? I'll just alternately take some people to speak during this time. Maybe I'll get you to speak. Maybe I'll get Trudy. Trudy, I'm just unmuting you at the moment. Can you just unmute yourself, Trudy? Your boss is also
Okay.
here. Your boss is here, by the way.
Yeah, you shouldn't choose me, no. she's here.
So no worries. Tell us, what would be the response? Your boss always threatens you that you may lose your job. How would you handle that?
Okay, first, she never told me this.
Okay. If you did, hypothetical. What would be your response to yourself? What's your response to yourself?
If my boss told me this, I will ask her the first questions. What is my weakness or what is my mistake that you want to threaten me?
Excellent. Thank you, Trudy. Good answer. Let's give a round of applause as well. Just press the reaction key over there and thumbs up. Please tell me, boss, what is it I've done wrong so that I can improve? Honestly, that's not what Trudy wanted to say. She wanted to throw the chair at the boss. But because she learned that you don't react, but you respond. There's a gap between stimulus and response. So let's take a look at the answer here. Trudy, after hearing the feedback from your boss, what do you tell yourself, Trudy? I must reinvent the way I work. There's obviously something that I'm doing that is upsetting my boss. Of course, she threatening me is not the right thing to do, but I rather look at the message rather than what the messenger said. I'm experiencing low bank account levels. Life sucks. Some of you might say that. A positive response would be, I must take control of my income and expenses. Is that how we react to that situation? Oh, this is a very personal one. My family doesn't care about me. They never think about me. I don't need any of them. I can survive on my own. Now, my dear friends, I have a strong feeling that some of you who are present in this session may be having this reaction. But let's take a look. Let's take a look. Let's go with Cassandra. What would you tell yourself, Cassandra, if assuming that you are in that situation, you feel that your family is not paying attention to you, what would you tell yourself as a positive response?
I have never come across a situation like that.
Hypothetical. I pray that you don't come across this. Hypothetical.
My family doesn't care about me. I will talk and I will ask them, whoever is in the family member, I will ask them, you know.
With a regulated tone of voice and emotions, right?
Yep. I will ask them. I will just talk and ask them and find out, you know.
Okay. Let me reenact it for you. Hey, mom, dad, siblings. I know I've noticed that we've not been talking for the last couple of months. Is everything all right with you all? Something like that, Cassandra?
Yeah, something like that.
All right,
Yep.
thank you, Cassandra. Let's give her a round of applause. Great job, Cassandra. Now, take a look at this response here. I love myself and I love my family for who they are. My identity is not determined by how much my family loves me. And besides, they may be busy, they may be tied up with a lot of stuff. And I'm pretty certain that I don't need the world to affirm me because I love myself anyhow. My colleagues are so racist, they don't involve me in anything. This is what I hear very often. I will ignore them and pretend that they don't exist. My suggestion here would be, I will go up to them and try to break the ice. I know it'll feel a little bit like a fish out of the pond when you do this, but I would strongly encourage you to do that because let me share with you this experience, my dear friends. 3 days ago, thank you, KK, you said that you like my hairstyle. Well, I would have to give that to this hairdresser that I went to. I was actually quite nervous when I went to this hairdresser because the regular guy has already resigned his job. And I know that I'm going to be given a new hairstylist. So when I went into the place, I was a little concerned, a little worried. But you know, as he starts off, he looks at me and he says, wow, you got so much dandruff. That's how he starts his conversation, you know. Can you imagine, you know, I mean, with 5 other customers around, thank God there was a little bit of social distancing, maybe 3 fellas heard it, you know. So, so much dandruff, but his English was bad. And then he looked at me, I was like a guinea pig. Throughout the whole experience, I felt like he didn't care about me. But you know what I decided to do? I told myself, no, I'm not going to look at it that way. I'm not going to look at it that way. I'm going to look at it as this guy is a master of his trade. You know, guess what, my dear friends? This guy's work was much better than even the previous guy. Take a look at my hairstyle now. Isn't it good? It's much better than the previous guy. But you know what I realized? He's young. He has some language issues. But you know what? He was very respectful. I just had to give him another 30 minutes. He warmed up to the situation. And I've come to a realization that not everybody is as friendly as Michael, Xavier, and everybody else around the world. Some people are friendly with their hands. Other people are friendly with their words and their actions. So this is what I've learned. That I don't judge people based on how they respond to me. Number 4, car breaks down in the middle of a work day. And what do you say? Gee, why does that always happen to me? I'm so unlucky. Lucky, God. Echo someone. You know? How do you react positively in that situation? I'm going to invite Juanita. Juanita, since you laughed at my joke just now, you're going to answer for me. How would you handle this, Juanita? Car breaks down in the middle of the work day. Could you just unmute yourself?
Well, for me, I'll call my husband and to come and rescue me. And I'll just remember he always tells me that everything happens for a reason. If probably, you know, he's stuck, maybe it was to prevent from something bad that will happen. So yeah, that's what I'll do.
You sure you don't call him complain now? You never service the car. You never service the car. How can car break down?
I might.
You handled it very well. Very positive response. Let's give a round of applause for Jonathan as well.
Thank you.
This very much fits your profile. Thank God It broke down during the day and not at night. Correct, no, Jonathan?
Yeah, because many times it happened. I was delayed for certain reason, and then subsequently when I drove, I realized that because of that few minutes I delayed, you know, I forgot my key, I forgot something, and right in front of me there was a very bad accident, and I said, "Wow, thank God it could have been me," you know. So it happened many times, and you know, of course, you know, and I'll remember what my husband always remind me, everything happens for a reason. Sometimes you get upset because of the delay, because God has a better plan for you. So I thank him for that advice.
A quote from a very famous man, Ignatius Sham. Everything for a reason. Thank you, Jonathan. That's right. So we choose to see things from a positive side, right? I mean, easily said than done, but when we talk about moving from level 2 to level 3, we are remodeling the way we see ourselves, our realities. We do not look at it the way we look at it. Let's take a look at the next one here. And that is, poor person comes up to you and asks for help outside the bank. Okay. I mean, be honest, hold your right hand up, touch your heart, repeat after me. Today, I promise, I truly promise to be totally honest. Aren't we guilty of this sometimes, my dear friends? And I can understand, some of you may be busy, you have to go back to work, and you've got a boss who's waiting for a report. Well, I'm not here to judge. There's no right and wrong in life. I told you that. The positive response would be, if you could, you stop and ask how you can help him. Just ask, to show that life, that person, that there is somebody who cares. So this is the situation, my dear friends. I want you now to think about the header of this slide here. You need to turn your natural thoughts to deliberate thoughts. And that is where we talk about switching off the autopilot thinking patterns and actions and become deliberate. This is what Vision talks about in his book. The importance of not allowing your natural tendencies to actually come out. You actually exercise that process of pausing for 10 seconds, having a gap between the stimulus and the response before you react. This is what B.F. Skinner talked about in psychology. Having that gap is very important before we respond. This is how we train ourselves, my dear friends, in not reacting to the circumstances. You know, at a time where a lot of companies have struggled, SpeakRight has also struggled as much as all the other companies. We have lost 95% of our business in the last 3 months, 95%. But you know what, my dear friends? We have not reacted. We've only responded. We have continued talking more to our customers than ever before. We have engaged with our customers even more before than we have ever before. In our office, our employees, Crystal, Christopher, Vicky, Jonathan, myself, and Anuja, we've become closer to each other than ever before. I admit that we had some very, very difficult conversations. But I made the decision today, that day, that not a single staff is going to be lost. Not a single soul will have to be let go from my organization. I made a deliberate decision that I'm going to still stay strong. I've come to find out too that who my friends really are. I also discovered some people who are not really my friends. But I'm thankful to God for revealing to me the people that I need to trust in my life. If not for this pandemic, my dear friends, today we wouldn't be stronger than we were before. So I just want you to understand that we do not react to circumstances, but we have to respond to them. And this is where you elevate yourself from level 2 to level 3. You don't just engage what the external sources tell you, but you correct all the internal areas of your life and see the change happens. Now, how do you do that? This is what you need to know about. It's what Vision calls as the models of reality, my dear friends. And this is how it's defined. Models of reality are accumulated beliefs. Now, keyword here, write this down, my dear friends. They are accumulated beliefs that shape one's personality and your perception of the world, like religion, politics, marriage, education, and all this starts especially from childhood. Now, as much as our parents loved us, my dear friends, There are some models of reality that has been pushed onto us without our permission that may no longer be relevant anymore. So I want you to think about this very seriously. Are you able to see the difference between the absolute truths in life, like the theory of relativity and gravity? All these are absolute truths. That it's bright in the day and gets dark at night, those are absolute truths. But sometimes we kind of like merge absolute truths with relative truths. You know, the Indian culture, we have one habit, and that is that when we go to someone's house, and it's very much an Asian habit, when we go to someone's house, we take out our shoes and we walk in. Do you practice that, my dear friends? If you do, put a yes on the chat room. Do you practice taking out your shoes and walking into someone's house? Let's take a look at some of the answers. And from what we can see here, many of you have got that situation as well. You practice that, and we believe that that's the right thing to do. But if tomorrow you decided to break this rule and just wear your shoes and go into that person's house, what do you think is going to happen, my dear friends? You may probably lose your friendship. But if you did the same thing in the US or in Australia, they will look at you one sort and wonder, why is it that you're taking off your shoes? It's unhygienic to walk around the room or the house with your shoes off. So let's take a look. Absolute truths are based on facts, whereas relative truths are based on moral judgment and culture. I'm not here to say it's right or wrong, but I'm here to say, have you confused absolute truths with relative truths? This is the theory of relativism that we really need to just observe and pay attention to. So let's take a look at a simple analogy that I'd like to give you this evening. Do you recall the first time you used a computer like this? Can you type out what year was that approximately? What is the year that you actually had a personal computer where you tried it out for the first time? Could you remember? Just write down, my dear friends. What year was that? Oh, wow. Trudy, very late, right? Computer. Will is 1996. Alicia, 1990. Trudy, 1992. Okay, sorry. Gurmeet, 2000. Dian, 1988. Okay, so I'm going to talk to the people who actually saw this computer in the 1990s. I still remember this. I still remember this because the teacher's name is Usha. And she was my computer teacher. I remember this very well because she's a very beautiful teacher. Okay, that's one reason. But more importantly, she was teaching me Lotus 1, 2, 3. Do you remember using the term Lotus 1, 2, 3? Yeah, it was such a fascinating experience using computer for the first time in my computer class at early secondary. That was my experience, somewhere in the early 1990s, right? And I must say that was a great experience. Now, I want you to just try to visualize this for a moment. I'm going to take you on a journey, okay? It's year 2020 and you're using the same computer. Now, can you tell me what would the experience be like? Same computer that you used in 1990, in year 2020, what would the experience be like? Can you just type out some answers there? What would the experience be like? Oh, slow as hell. The keyword slow. Hard mode, yeah, hang, laggy. Now try doing this. Try to play a game. Try to install a game app into the computer. What do you think is going to happen? Yes, that's right, Ivana. Most of the softwares might not be applicable. It cannot run. It will take forever. That's right. It's a horrendous experience, my dear friends. It's a horrendous experience. So what do we need to do? We need to understand that many people, okay, now, this could be us in this room, you know. So let's personalize this. Many of us in this room are operating in the current times with outdated models of reality and systems of living. You know, our father's advice, grandfather's advice, we're still holding on to it. If you don't work hard, you cannot be successful in life. Suffer now, be happy later. But I tell you this, my dear friends, what we learn in the code of extraordinary life is be happy now so you can achieve your success later. Without happiness in life, my dear friends, life will be a horrendous experience. So what do we need to do? We need to get the latest computer. We need to get the latest computer, the latest software, the latest updates, because 2020 needs them. The expectations of of what we need to achieve in life is updated. But why aren't we updated? So what do we need to do? We need to upgrade our hardware and software, and vision calls this upgrading our models of reality and systems of living. Our systems of living, meaning that we need to discard some of our experiences that was relevant then that may not be relevant today. So it's something that what we call as conscious engineering. Conscious engineering. Now what is conscious engineering? We upgrade our software where the models of reality, the belief system, we change the way we see things. And the software is where your systems of living, we talk about your daily habits based on how you see things and your corresponding actions that follow. You need to deliberately, my dear friends, tell yourself, I'm going to change the way I see that situation. I'm going to change the way I respond to that situation. So it's repeatable, it is expandable, and it is improvised so that we can reach level 3 and eventually level 4. Let me give you an example here. This is in the theme of recognition. John and James worked hard at making the IT upgrade project successful. However, when faced with a deadlock, James broke the code and managed to get the app up on time. So both of them were working hard, but who made the difference? It was James who managed to break the code and get the app up on time. Without his intervention, my dear friends, the project would have stalled further. When the VP, the vice president, walks up to John, not to James, walks up to John and congratulates John for breaking the code, what does he say? What does John say? Congratulations, John, for breaking the code. But who broke the code, my dear friends? It was James. Let's take a look at two options here. The belief system of John was success at any cost. It's a dog-eat-dog world. If I don't take what belongs to me, I will never be able to be successful. What does he say? Thanks, boss. I did my best. Now that looks like a very angelic response. But what you don't understand is there's two very important factors here. The models of reality, the belief system is success at any cost. And the systems of living is we have to fight and get what rightfully belongs to you. And so what does he say? Thanks, boss. I did my best. But today we are telling you the belief system is success with ethics. I need to affirm someone who has done well and give him due recognition. And what does he say? Thanks, sir. However, you got to know that James was the one who broke the code, not me. Put your hands in your heart, my dear friends. This is just a simple example. But have we been in this situation before? Is it easier to blame your wife for all the problems in the house? Is it easier to blame your bosses for the fact that you didn't get to hold on to your job? Is it time that we need to upgrade our hardware and software with the latest update? So the key number 2 here is, my dear friends, is make a conscious effort to re-engineer your belief system, that is your models of reality and your systems of living. It's a conscious effort, my dear friends. When I was sitting there and this guy was working on my hair, I told myself, I'm going to cut all these noises in my head and I'm going to see him for who he is and really observe. Are those assumptions that I have about him correct or not? If it's not, it's taking me to a different destination that I don't want to go. That is the shortcut. That is the E option. That is the fast lane. I don't want to go there. I want to take the ethical route. Let's give him a chance. And that made all the difference, my dear friends. So this is just a simple example. I just want you to think about it for a moment. Is it time that we need to upgrade our hardware and software? The last time you faced an adversity, how did you look at it? Did you say, oh my God, why has this happened to me? Because this has happened to me, I can't go on with my life anymore. I'm just going to remain where I am at the moment because I've got no hands and no feet, literally, for me to move on with life. But today, Eve has shared with us that she has changed. She has changed her hardware and her software. It took a very unfortunate gas explosion for her to change her vision about life. And my dear friends, today, she's a practicing lawyer since July last year and her life is still going on as usual. without any disturbance whatsoever. So I'd like you to just take for a moment now to reflect on this particular situation and ask yourself, is there a situation in your life where you really need to change your hardware and software, if there's a need for it? So my dear friends, that was the second point. That was the second one, our models of reality. Our first point was what? Could somebody tell me what's our first point? What did I cover at the beginning? What levels are those? What do you call that? Anybody like to type it out into the chat? What is my first module? Under the topic of, yes, that's right, transcendence of the norm. We talked about consciousness, Pamela, that's right. The 4 levels of consciousness. Are we in the victim level where we are trapped by our culture scape? Have we moved into the level of awakening? Have we gone into remodeling our lives at the level 3? And have we become extraordinary in level 4? So let's take a look at this picture. Do you love this car? If you love this car, it's not a trick question by the way, but if you love this car, just type a yes. If you don't, just put a no. Do you love this car? Guys especially? Yes, Gurmeet, no. Xavier, no. Okay, no. SH Ling, yes. Jesse, no. Beza all the way. Cassandra, no. All right. Great. Jeffrey, no. So Jeffrey, what would be your option then, Jeffrey? Lamborghini, perhaps? Jagan, yes. Yeah, so there's some yes and some no. Jeffrey prefers the Grab. Okay, great. So my dear friends, there is a category of people who would do anything to be able to own a car like this in their life. I'm sure you know of people like that. If you ever go to an MLM presentation, you would have probably seen how the top earner would be showing pictures of his cars and says that you too can drive a car like that. You could strictly go back to level 2, awakening. Oh my God, I must have a car like that. Now that's a trap that we fall into in life, you know. But I want you to know this, and that is this. Would you give up your life for the sake of this Ferrari? For those of you who said yes, Josh, Eric, Will, would you give up your life for the sake of this Ferrari? What would your answer be, my dear friends? Naturally, the answer is going to be no. Am I right? Naturally, the answer is going to be no. So what's the important message here? The moral of the story here is sometimes we chase for things in life that isn't as important as life itself. Now, this is the important message, my dear friends. We chase for things in life that isn't as important as life itself. You know, I always tell my wife this, you know, even in good times, I always tell her this. I say, what would happen if God took away our house, He took away our car, He took away our children from the school that they're going in, and we are left with no money in the bank? Would you still thank God for what you have, like what Elaine talked about, gratitude? Would you still be grateful for the life that you have? Or would you say, Ayyo, yeah, in the Marine, devil, we say, why has this happened to me? You know, we start condemning ourselves and our circumstances. You know, I remind myself every day that every day is a gift from God. And if that is true, then I'm not going to be chasing something in life and losing my life in the process. So this is the very important thing I want to share with you. What we all know as the goal setting mantra. Now, I want to ask you a question. I want you to answer me, okay? Is goal setting important in life, my dear friends? Please type a yes or a no. Please answer me. Is goal setting important in life? Yes. Anuja says yes. Shuli says yes. SH Lim says yes. Gurmeet says yes. That's right. Yes. And I'm going to give you a paradox here, my dear friends. It's yes, that is a very important activity in life. And that too is our biggest problem in life. It's also a biggest problem. It's a paradox. This is where the problem is. Okay? Where the typical goal setting that we know that falls into the 5 categories. What's the 5 categories? I'm sure you know it. It has to be specific, it has to be measurable, and blah, 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 achievable, realistic, time-bound, and some people have even extended it with the E and R. It has to be all-encompassing, it has to be results-driven, whatever you want to call it. But I'm not going to talk about that, my dear friends, because that is a broom. That's right. It's a brew, my dear friends. It's a brew. Because I'm going to share with you a very important element of goal setting. The first one is this. The starting point of all achievement is desire. Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire brings a small amount of heat. Can you tell me who is the guru who talked about desire? Anybody knows? Again, going back to the books that you've read. Who do you think, very famous guy, wrote this? No more alive already. Give you some clue. Just write his name down. Don't worry if it's right or wrong. He's the guy who talks about desire. Ah, congratulations, KKG. You just won yourself a char kway teow, I will belanja you. Okay, that's right. Napoleon Hill. The second one. The purpose of a goal is not to get it. Wow, profound, my dear friends. The purpose of a goal is who you become in pursuit of it. If you grow in the process of achieving your goal, then that is success. Wow. Wow. Okay, I'm going to ask you the natural question. Who said this, by the way? Anybody like to try? He's tall, he's quite got a very coarse voice, he's very dramatic, the whole stage will vibrate when he speaks, and it costs a lot of money to hear him speak. That's right, KKG, congratulations! That is Tony Robbins. Christopher, you got it right as well. Tony Robbins, that's right. This guy went through a lot of crap in his life, you know, and still made it successful. Earns about $30 million a year. The third person will say, you should set goals that you are in love with. Goals that inspire you, goals that bring you the best of you, bring out the best of you to the surface. Take a look at that, my dear friends. The key word here is you must be in love with it. Are you in love with the goal? Or are you in love with the outcome of the goal? That's a big difference, my dear friends. Are you in love with the process of the goal? Now, by the way, who said this? You should set goals that you are in love with. KKG says Elon Musk. Good try, KKG. Perhaps he said it. Anybody else like to try? Steve Jobs. Okay. Okay. The answer is, it starts with letter B. Anybody? Mark Zuckerberg. Okay. Good try, Gurmit. Starts with a B. First name B. Second name P. BP. Anybody? B for Bangkok. P for Penang. I'm sure you know him. I'm sure KKG also knows him. Okay, so the answer is Bob Proctor. That's right. Bob Proctor. Born to win. So my dear friends, these are three very important elements that a goal needs to have. Now, why am I bringing this up to you? Because I'm going to reveal to you a very interesting way to define the goal. A very interesting way to define the goal. Now, this is very important. Huh? Goals need to observe three very important criteria in order for it to be what is known as end goals. Okay, it's the full term is end goals. Well, what are those goals? It has to be, number one, it promises a delightful experience of emotions throughout the process and in the end. So I want you to think about it very carefully, my dear friends. When you're achieving the goal, do you tell yourself, suffer now, enjoy later? Or do you tell, I'm enjoying the rejection if I'm an insurance agent. I'm enjoying the politics if I'm working in a place that is rather toxic. I'm enjoying this experience that I have having an argument with my wife because I'm learning to get her, to know her more and more each day. It's a promise of a delightful experience or emotions. This is something very important. Number two, it talks about, it makes you grow in the process. Now, this is very important, my dear friends. Are you growing in the process of achieving your goal? See, the problem here is our education system tells us that when you make mistakes along the way, you have failed to grow. But we are telling you that when you make mistakes along the way, though the end looks a bit blurred, you are actually making progress. Don't listen to those people who tell you, see, this fellow tried so much, he failed. See, I'm doing so much better than him. Discard these people from your life, my dear friends. Because I tell you, the fact that you're doing something today, you are growing. Even if the results doesn't happen immediately, my dear friends. Because this is what I say. In the process, it brings the best of us to the surface. That's what Bob Proctor says. And the third and very important one is, it gives you an opportunity to contribute. You see, when you achieve your goal, it's not about you. It's about having a purpose-driven life. It's about what would your life be to others once you have achieved your goal in life. Would it contribute to somebody else's life or not? This is the three very important criteria that helps us achieve that. And I totally agree with you, KKG. Even in Toastmasters, it's not about winning that speech contest, though it's nice if you win it, but the process of doing that first speech in the club meeting. It's the process of preparation where you had to force yourself to do last minute work because there's a lot of work in the office, but because you've given your word, you still go and do that speech anyway. And it's also like taking part in many speech contests and still not winning that elusive club contest. It's not about the fact that you won or lost. It's the fact that you've gone through these wonderful emotions and experience. You've grown in the process and you realize that your efforts has contributed to others, my dear friends. So that's why I'm going to ask you this. Whenever I ask my students in class, what would be the one goal that you want to achieve in your life? Can you tell me what answer do you think I got, my dear friends? What do you think that one answer most common people would say? What is that one goal you can achieve in your life? What would that be? Can somebody, yes, Gurmeet, you are right. I think you were a good student in my class, Gurmeet. Yes, more money, more rich. Well, let me tell you something. According to Vision, being rich is a means goal. Let me type it out. Means is MENS GOALS. Means goal. A means goal is being rich is not the end itself. Being rich is a means to achieving something bigger. So think about it very carefully. Whenever you tell your children, why is it I must study so hard? So that you can pass the exam. Guess what? Let me type it out again. That is a means goal. So just to emphasize the point. Examination, pass, means goal. Why did you pass examination? Because I was a straight A student, so you also must be straight A student. Means goal. Why do we actually want to pass exams, my dear friends? So that we can actually study the subject that we are interested in. We get to choose what we want to study. And when you study what you like, you get a job that you are passionate about and you can make a difference in the world. That is the end goal. So what are we pushing? Whenever we talk to our students, is it the means goal? Is it the ends goal? If not today, we wouldn't have people like Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, Tunku Abdul Rahman. These people were clear that whatever problems they had along the way, the goal is not to enrich myself. But the goal is to ensure that this world, this place, my country, becomes a better place for others. So this is a very important point. So I want you to remember these three very important letters. E, G, and C. Very important. Next time you set a goal, E, G, C. Whatever goals that you set, it must fulfill this very important condition. So develop EGC goals, my dear friends, which are end goals, not mean goals. Not mean goals. So don't focus on the vehicle that you want to buy, but focus on where is the vehicle taking you to. That is important message, my dear friends. So these are the three very critical points I want to share with you. And when you reach the level 4, my dear friends, it's about taking your adversities in life, all your good and bad experiences, all the mistakes and the correct things that you've done in life, and then you tell yourself, I'm ready to go to level 4. I'm ready to make the change that I want to see in the world. Am I ready to contribute or not? Can a person after going through adversity still contribute? So let's take a moment now and listen to Eileen Chua as she shares with us what has she done since recovering from the explosion. Over to you, Eileen.
At the burn ward, when I was healing in the burn ward, I had a lot of questions in my mind, whether I will get fully healed or not, and why will my wounds keep on breaking down. I didn't have anybody to ask except for doctors, and the doctors just said that, it happens because your degree of burn is quite high. So I wanted to find someone who has gone through this experience and tell me what I can do, but I couldn't find anybody in Malaysia. However, my sister managed to find Phoenix Society in US, and they are a support group for the US citizens. I then began to join their peer support chat every Wednesday. at night at US, but here in Malaysia is on Thursdays morning. And I find that they are very supportive of the other burn survivors, and they encourage other burn survivors to do better. And there are some medical advice too, if they wanted. What I realized after that is that why is there no burn support in Malaysia? In Asian countries, we have more burn survivors than in US, but US seems to have a better support system than in Malaysia. In Malaysia, it's almost nil. There's no support system at all. And I feel that as a burn survivor, you need support because this is a lifelong thing. Now, when I started to join them, they then began to ask me to do a video. So I actually volunteered to do a video upon their request. And I've been participating through them, and I got to know many other burn survivors who had high degrees of burn, and I really learned a lot from them. And one of my articles that I wrote in the blog, I have a blog since 2018, and this blog, I write about my journey as a burn survivor. It was difficult at first to write it because I was still traumatized by it. But as time goes by, I realized that my trauma became less as I accept the situation, and it managed to help me in the long run. So through this blog, one of my articles was actually featured in one of the local US newsletter. They featured one of my articles, and I was happy to see that my story has been shared to other burn survivors as well. However, one thing that is bugging me is that why don't we have our own support group or persatuan? You know, there's Persatuan Cancer, Persatuan Orang Kurang Upaya, but what happened to Malaysia? This question nagged at me. Then I told the doctors and nurses that if anybody, any burn survivors, patient wants somebody to talk to, please call me. And they did call me. I started working in July last year. It's because of one of these encounters whereby I was talking to a survivor and he kept asking me, will I be able to go back to work? At that point of time, I realized that he was really committed to his work, and he can't accept the fact that he may not be able to work anymore. I just told him that you can do anything you want if you set your mind to it. However, at that point of time, I have not started working yet. So I realized that if I was really serious in building a burn survivor support system, I need to go back to work and I need to live as normal as possible so that I can tell other burn survivors that if I can do it, you can do it too. I know that it is still a long journey, but in this process, I've also joined Voices. That was a program by Georgetown Literary Festival, and joined some other writers to write out my story. And that story was also part of the chapbook that they sold during the Georgetown Literary Festival. Anand's wife is actually one of the early founders of this program, Voices, and that actually helped me to be able to share more to others. If you know of any burn survivors who need support or who need to know somebody who has gone through a difficult time, you can contact me because I have a special WhatsApp group for burn survivors in Malaysia. I feel that a burn survivor needs to know that there is still hope and there's still life after the burn. Thank you. Back to you, Michael.
Thank you very much, Eileen. So my dear friends, I want you to take a look at this chart here and see how Eileen has progressed to all the 4 levels, and even for yourself too. So this is our lives before July 2nd, 8:15 p.m. And then we delete the rules, be grateful and accept what's happened to us and change along the way, but live mindfully. Eileen also showed how she kind of adjusted her models of reality and systems of living so that she can continue living her life in an adjusted form and strengthening herself to go back to work. And finally, what she has done, my dear friends, she pursues her EGC goals that focuses on contributing to the society, especially to those people who are burn victims. She even shared with me stories of how the hospital doctors would call her to come over and share her story to a burn victim and to encourage them so that they do not feel alone in the process. So Eileen, I'm very happy to let you know that you are definitely in level 4, Eileen, where you, through your life story, are making this world a better place.
Can I say something?
Sure.
We are not victims, we are survivors.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So moving away from level 1, you're no more in a victim mindset, you're moving all the way into the part where you're contributing to people's life. So my dear friends, this kind of brings me to almost the end of my session today. And as you wind down on this session, I want you to think about your life. And I'm sure many of you are doing really well in progressing in this. But I hope that this session today kind of like creates that awareness and a refresher about let's not take life for granted. Let's be grateful for what we have. And also let's ensure that we are able to move and forge ahead towards being the best version of ourselves. So you know what I'm going to ask you to do right now, this is going to take only about a minute, and I want you to just write down some numbers as you go along the way. Okay, you're going to do a quick assessment. Okay, you're going to do a quick assessment on yourself in every part of your life to see in level 3 which is the part that you actually need to recode in your life. Number 1 is much to be desired, which is the lowest ranking. Number 2 is things can be better. Number 3, looks encouraging. Number 4, more good days than bad days. Number 5 is the best moment of my life. And as I read out each of the statement, you just write down between 1 to 5. Okay, your health and fitness. What is the quality of your general health condition? Please write it down on the paper, my dear friends. Between 1 to 5. Okay, you don't have to write it in a chat group. Your spiritual life. How often do you meditate, pray, reflect, and be still? Do you stop? Do you stop to meditate, to pray, to reflect, to think before acting? What's your spiritual life like? Number 3, your intellectual life. How much and how fast are you learning? How much time do you spend reading, watching educational videos, listening to other people talk in your local Toastmasters club and hearing their stories? Number 4, your environment. What is the quality of your work and personal spaces? Let's talk about your house. Is it cluttered? Your office space. What about your journey from your home to your house? Is it peaceful? Your family life. How happy are you with your family, parents, and siblings? Your romantic relationship. How happy are you with your current status, with whoever that you're with? Your friendships, how strong is your emotional network? Do you keep in touch with your friends? Do they keep in touch with you? Do they feel important? Do they feel important enough to want to keep in touch with you as much as you do with them? Your adventures, how much time do you have for new experiences? Do you take on new experiences in life, doing something different than what you normally do? Your skills, are you growing the skills you need to success? Your problem-solving skills, your speaking skills, your ability to manage your emotions, your engineering skills, your financial skills. Are you trying to pick up a new skill often? Your career, are you working on your business in such a way that it's growing? Your creative life, do you partake in activities and boost your creativity? Your community life, this is important, my dear friends. What significant contributions do you make to your community? And the key word here is significant, by the way. something that makes you feel a little bit of pain in terms of time or money. If you got, please total up your results now. Just total it up if you could very quickly. All right. If you got anything above 48, you are in good shape and you can continue to explore how else you could challenge yourself. If you're anywhere between 37 to 47, you're making good progress and address the areas rated below 4. And anything below 36, you have much areas to improve. Address all areas that are below 3, my dear friends. You know, the biggest mistake that our school has made is asking the wrong questions when we're in school. And what is that? What do you want to be when we grow up? And you know what we normally say? I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, and they stop there. They only look at the career pillar. They fail to look at the other 11 pillars that are highlighted to you just now. So it's very important that in order for us to recode our lives, we don't only recode our career life, we have to recode our spiritual life. We've got to recode our emotional life. We need to recode our relational life. We need to recode our intellectual life. So every part of our life needs to be recoded. This is the part that we need to focus on very carefully. And I can assure you, my dear friends, if you recode these things, and then when you reach the traffic jam, you would be able to choose the option that is best suited for you because you have broadened your life. You're able to see things from a wider perspective. So, I really hope that you found this session helpful, and in a short while, we're going to go into a quiz session. And if you have any questions, just feel free to type your questions in the chat box and I will try my best to answer your question. And over to you, Crystal.
Michael, are we supposed to go into the quiz first before we show?
No, you do what you need to do first.
Because the slide that we are going to show is during the end.
Oh, okay. So I go into the quiz straight then.
Okay. But
Okay.
I will help you to tabulate the point. Then
Okay,
we'll show
excellent.
the participant later.
So, my dear friends, we actually have 10 questions prepared for you today. For those of you who are here, be ready to answer those questions as it comes up. It's very simple. You just need to, for objective questions, you just write out the alphabet. For the subjective questions, you just type out the words. The first person who gets it right, you get a point. Those of you, the first person who got it wrong, we'll go to the next answer and then we'll go that way for all the 10 questions. So let's see how much you have been paying attention during this session. All right, so let's take a look at the question. Come up with the solution. Question number 1. What is level 1 in the 4 levels of consciousness? Level 1. Please type out your answer. Is it escape route, landscape, the culture scape, or the circle of influence? Okay, so let's take a look here. Okay, looks like we've got Elizabeth Hall who says the culture scape. Computer, please tell me, is the answer correct? Yes, congratulations, Elizabeth Hall. You are our first correct answer winner at the moment. We are moving into our second question. All right, are you ready? So get ready, guys. Second question coming up. What was Steve Jobs quote saying? What was Steve Jobs quoted saying? A. Oops, sorry. Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. That were made up by people who were smarter than you. They were made up by people better looking than you. They were made up by people that were better than you. What is the answer, please? And we have the answer by SH Slim. Congratulations. The answer is, you are right, A. So don't be so worried. You think that somebody around you is trying to be smarter than you. You know, in my life, I always find people who are trying to prove that they're better than me. I do not know why. But for some reasons, it doesn't bother me anymore. So don't let it bother you. If they want to feel smarter, let them be. Because that's not our goal anyway. Our goal is to actually recode ourselves to become better than we already are. Let's take a look at number 3. This is a subjective question. So guys, you need to type out an answer, okay? You need to type out an answer here. What are these examples known as? Suffer now, enjoy later, religions, and oh, wow, not even finished saying it yet. You can't be successful without a degree. And the answer goes to Shuli. You are right. That is rules. Congratulations, Shuli. You've got it right. By the way, I'm not here to say these rules are right or wrong. That's not my job. I'm here to say, based on the conditions of your life at the moment, would this fall under the condition of a rule? We sometimes just take it due to relative truth. Fill in the blank with the correct answer. Models of reality are accumulated dash that shape one's personality and your perception of the world, like religion, politics, marriage, and education, especially from childhood. The answer goes to Tachani Balachandran. Congratulations, Tachani. You have been paying attention. That's right. It is beliefs. So, my dear friend, that's a model of reality. Remember, two parts, our belief system, what we see and how do we perceive it. Stephen R. Covey calls it the paradigm. What is the definition of consciousness engineering? Question number 5. Ignoring the negative around us, avoiding the problems in life and focus on something new you can work on, meditate through the whole day, make a conscious effort to re-engineer your models of reality and systems of living. And the answer is D. Congratulations, Elizabeth Hall. You got it right once again. It's funny that Elizabeth came in a little late, I think, and she's still getting all the answers correct. So, very fast learner. Number 6. Are you ready, my dear friends? Okay, number 6. Your career seems to be taking a dip and you are faced with many hurdles. What would you do? Quit the job? Think about how you may have contributed to a problem? Report to HR that you are bullied by your superior? Tell the boss how you feel about this whole situation and how unhappy you are. And the answer is B. Think about how you may have contributed to the problem. This is level 3, my dear friends. You see, before you take action, it's very important for us to make sure all the capacities is working correctly. How did I contribute to the perception that my boss has on me today? Yeah, he may be shouting, may use some nasty words. All that is right. I'm not justifying those things. But what is a contributing factor? What did I do that would have lent credence to what he's doing right now? So first is B, then only D, my dear friend. So always start off with self before everything else. So the answer goes to, oh yes, we have it here. I think it is Trudy, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, congratulations, Trudy, you got the answer right. Question number 7. Finish the sentence. The hardware is the models of reality. The software is the That's right, Trudy. It is the systems of living. It is the app that we put into the computer. It's our habits. Are our habits repeatable, expandable, and can it be improvised? Now, that is the extension of our models of reality. So that's congratulations. Question number 8, subjective question. Now, this is Eileen's point, yeah? I hope that you're paying attention to Eileen's story just now. Eileen said that she learned 3 important things from accidents. They are, please write down all 3. The first person to write down all 3. Gratitude, acceptance, change. Congratulations, Tachani. You got it right. That's right. Gratitude, acceptance, change. You know, we have to be grateful for what we have, even how little it is. Accept our situation that may not be the same anymore, and change along the way, but being mindful of living in the present. Number 9. The 3 criteria for a goal is. The 3 criteria for a goal. Subjective question. Please write it down, my dear friends. What are the 3 very important criteria? Write down the full thing, the full. Come on, give me the full. Give me the full. Give me the full. Come on, SSU, give me the full. Right, you can do it. Experience, growth, contribution. Congratulations, Ivana. That's right. Experience, growth, contribution. You got it right because you wrote the full answer. I'm so sorry, SH. Try again. The last question, you have it here. What is the key factor in level 4 of the 4 levels of consciousness? Becoming super rich, being number 1 in your field, becoming someone the whole world respects, bring a change to the world. And the answer goes to Elizabeth Hall. Congratulations, Elizabeth. It's not about being rich or getting that name or getting that respect, my dear friend. Those are means goals. Nothing wrong with those. What's more important is the ultimate light at the end of the tunnel is bringing a change to the world. And that is, the answer is D. Congratulations. Wow, give yourselves a round of applause, my dear friends. Excellent job you guys have done. So Crystal is now going to show who the winner is. Crystal, over to you. Let me just unshare.
Michael, yeah, you need to unshare the screen. So ladies and gentlemen, let's see who is the winner for today. So congratulations, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, you have total of 3 questions, which is correct. And our team will contact you tomorrow in order for us to deliver the Starbucks voucher over to you.